Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Business First Creatives podcast. Today, I am chatting with Kewley of Hey Carl Brand Design. Now, let's start with the name, Carly. How did
Yes.
you get into brand design, and why is your business named Hey Carl?
That's like, okay. So brand design, when I first started, I always wanted to be an artist. So this is actually technically my third business. The first one was called Art by Carly. And that's when I was doing all of the things. I was doing painting, photography, design. I had a shop. Like I was just like all multi-passionate entrepreneurs know. You try to do all of the things. And then I got burnt out really quick. So then I did CK design and I decided to niche down into just brand design. A lot more focused, a lot more fun for me. And then I could keep art a little bit more on the personal side of things. And then this last year, I did another pivot, which brought me to Hey Carl. And I'm actually named after my grandpa Carl. So I grew up with the nickname Carl, Carlos, Carlene, Charlie, lots of different nicknames. And so I thought it was really fun to do Hey Carl. That's kind of a nod to like 90s aesthetic too, like Hey Arnold, and how I approach a lot of my clients, very laid back, very casual, very fun, very conversational. So it's me as a personal brand, and it's also kind of a fun nod toward legacy as well with my grandpa. And yeah.
I mean, I love it because technically my name is not Colie James. It is a
Yeah.
completely made up name. It's
Yeah.
my nickname and my husband's name because my name is rather boring and very popular. So I love it when people create interesting names for their business and kind
Yeah.
of, build it in a storytelling way.
Yeah.
So that's what you do on the business side. And so,
Yes.
listeners, today we are going to take a deep dive into balancing business and motherhood, but also while homeschooling. So, Carly, I know you've
Yes.
only homeschooled last year, but tell
Yes.
me about the decision to homeschool and how you started.
So, homeschooling is obviously a very personal choice. It's not always going to work for every family, and public school works great for some people too. Like, you got to figure out what's going to work best for your business and your family and your lifestyle. And for me, when it started to get to the point to where Elsie was getting too old for daycare and she was entering into school age for kindergarten, I had this weird, I don't know if it was like a spiritual nag or dig or something, but there was just something that was just kind of sitting in my gut where it was just like, I'm not ready to give up this time with my children
Mhm.
because it always felt strange. And I don't think it was the mom guilt. I think it was just, it felt weird to have kids and then only see them for like 3 or 4 hours out of the day. And then the weekends were still booked with whether it was family events or whatever it was. But I don't know, when I was getting to the point of picking up the kids from daycare, it was just this feeling of like, what, why, like, I want to spend time with my children
Yeah.
a little bit more than just, a couple hours. And even in the evenings, like that's filled up with getting dinner ready, bedtime routine. So how much time is actually spent playing with your kids? So that was my biggest thing is like, I only get this shot once and I just want to have fun. And then also I just want them to try to dip into more of play-based learning instead of,
Hmm.
I mean, the school systems are different in every state, wherever you go. And to me, it just felt like I don't want them to feel like they have a job just yet to where they're sitting at a desk for, X amount of hours during the day. I want them to have more room for playtime. So
Yeah.
those are my two main reasons for homeschooling.
Yeah. And I mean, so I homeschool and my life looks very different than yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I homeschooled a 12-year-old this year.
Yeah.
So very different than homeschooling preschoolers. But
Yeah.
we started with kind of at home virtual learning during the
Yep.
pandemic. I mean, I never thought I would be a homeschooler. I actually I have a background in education, not
I love that.
elementary, not school age,
Yeah.
but I do have the background. And I was just like, no, I'll never be a homeschooling mom.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit and she stayed home for,
Surprise.
that last surprise,
Yeah.
that last 2 months of that first year. And then the next year, I was still too worried to send her back to school. So we let her do virtual learning another year. And we were kind of, I don't want to say privileged, but she actually had the same teacher in third grade that she had in fourth grade. Her fourth
Sure.
grade teacher was actually not at school either. So it's not like Chloe was watching school happening inside of a building, from our house.
Yeah.
Her teacher and everyone else in her class was at home. So
Hmm.
they were all kind of having the same experience. And she'd actually had that teacher before she did virtual learning. So I think that really helped with the transition.
Hmm.
And then in fifth grade, I was just like, oh, let's just put her in pure virtual school and see how it goes. And she really thrived. Like she loved it. And then this year, we started off with virtual school. And I knew immediately that was not a good choice for her.
Yeah.
She was having some trouble with reading, but then in general, I didn't feel the same level of support that I had felt the year before. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it was because it was middle school versus elementary. I don't know. I told my husband, I'm like, yeah, we're going to pull her from this. This is not working. So then I homeschooled. I sent her to a co-op 1 day a week, which was great. And
Yeah.
then she also had a reading specialist that she was working with twice a week. So that's what
Yeah.
my homeschooling journey in the last year looked like. What does an average homeschooling day look like for you? And then we're going to get into like how you fit your business into that homeschool life.
So I will say the beginning of our homeschool journey was rocky at best. It
Mhm.
was the first month or two. I think, and this is something that I'm still learning to unlearn, is bringing the public school system into the homeschooling system, because they're two very different things. They don't have to be like you sit at a desk. In my mind, because I grew up in the public school system and it was great, but in my mind, when I was like, I'm going to homeschool the kids, I'm going to be Miss Mom, like Miss Rainbow, and it's going to be easy peasy. I'll sit at my desk and do my work, and the kids will sit at their desk, and we'll just do our lessons, and it's going to be so cute and so fun. Not at all.
Not at all.
No. So it took me a long time to unlearn, and I'm still unlearning some of those things. So our homeschooling, we signed up for a co-op as well. We did classical conversations. So we would meet once a week, and that was a 4-hour school day. So they still got a lot of their social parts of it. And I signed them up for a lot of programs through our community. So they had like science
Mhm.
on Wednesdays through the museum. So we would spend 45 minutes doing a class that they would do on their own with other students. And then we would spend the rest of the day just playing in the museum. And then Mondays was our CC. So that was our community. And that's where they spent, my favorite parts of that was they would learn how to public speak. So we'd have
Nice.
like a show and tell type thing. And then the arts and science part of it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then Fridays was just kind of a free fall of like, let's go to the library, let's do whatever is open. And this coming year, Elsie has mentioned, she's my oldest. So my oldest is 6. She's going into first grade. And Emma, my youngest, is 4. So Emma will for sure be doing the CC. And then Elsie this next year, we're debating on doing part-time public school. Because the one thing that I have learned that we're struggling with is the workbook side of things. Does
Okay.
not want to do it at all. So I don't know if it would be beneficial to do learning through like partially through another instructor. And I think she's a very social butterfly. So I think she misses like daily the same faces instead of weekly the same
Yeah.
faces. So we might give it a shot, see how it goes, do a couple of classes in there. My favorite thing about the journey with homeschooling is just learning that like it's whatever you want it to be. So it's not just a one
Whatever you
size
want
fits
it to
all.
be.
Yes. And I'm still trying to like loosen up the reins and the controls on that, because growing up, it's like all I ever grew up in and knew. And even as an adult, like I feel like and I think COVID opened a lot of eyes on this as well, as like public school is the way, or private school or whatever. Like you have a very limited set of options on how education looks for children. And there's so many ways that you can build an education around your kids. And I think the homeschooling thing really opened my eyes for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. So one of the best things about homeschooling Chloe this last year, I mean, and I will say, because we're about to jump into business, it was not great for my business. I mean, I had
Yeah.
to really learn how to balance spending time with my child, giving her what she needed versus being able to work and earn an
Yeah.
income. But, Mondays, and let's see, it was Mondays and then Tuesday, Wednesday were like our main learning days. And so we used a curriculum that covered history, science, math, and I kind of taught what I wanted to teach and skipped parts that I wanted to. But then on Thursdays, she went to an art co-op
Oh, well, that
for
sounds
half the
amazing.
day. Yes, it was. So I'm sorry. Monday, Wednesday, Friday were our learning days. Tuesday, she went to the 1 day co-op through the district. And I think that's amazing
Yeah.
because when I tell people, no, her co-op was through the district, they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, the district that we live in right now, they have a building dedicated to homeschoolers, and you can enroll your child 1 day a week for a full 8 hour day, and they get to pick 6 classes to attend. So
That's
Chloe
so
did at
cool.
it's awesome. She did robotics, science, PE, musical theater, which was her favorite, art, and now I'm forgetting her sixth. Oh, cooking. She did cooking.
That's
It
so
was great.
cool.
And she's really sad that I'm not sending her back this year. This year, we are kind of doing what you're talking about. We're sending her to a private middle school for half the day to get more focused reading, writing, and math instruction.
Hmm.
And then for the other half of the day, she's going to be in our public school around the corner. So this
Sure.
is brand new territory for us. I thought I was going to be able to jump back into my business full time, but it turns out with this schedule, I have to leave my house every day at 11:15 and drive her from one school to the next.
Yeah.
So my business is still not mine again. It's still not where I have, a full working day, 5 days a week in order to work into that. So, Carly, I think that's a good transition for us to talk about how you either fit your homeschooling around your business or you fit your business around your homeschooling. So, which camp are you and how does it work?
I don't really know. I can tell you how it works. I'm not sure. I think it's fitting my business around the homeschooling. And maybe it's like equal parts 50-50. So I knew when I like fully committed to making the decision, it's like we're going to homeschool the kids and we're just going to figure it out as we go. I knew the structure that I had it before, which was previously CK Design, where I was a brand designer, which I still am now, but it was the classic sense to where I would book multiple projects and just have them stacked. So I'd be doing
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 projects 3 months at a time. And then the next quarter would be another 3 projects or whatever. So it was a lot of carryover. And I knew there's no way in hell my brain can work like that, having like 50 tasks. Cause I'm very like future focused. And when I am working on something, like I need to be in it. I can't just have like all of the things, and having kids that are both under 6. I'm like, this is insane. There's no way this is going to work. So I decided towards the end of CK Design, I had actually introduced VIP days, which is a hot button, not hot button, but like a hot thing that a lot of people are doing now. Yeah.
I
I
do them.
love it. I love it. It's so great. So I started offering that at the end of CK Design, and I figured, you know what? I think I can pitch this doing the same exact thing that I've already been doing, logos, website, brand design. But instead of offering it like, we're going to get this done in 3 months, it's like, here's my VIP days that I have. I can get this done for you in a day or a week or in 2 weeks. So it's been so fun because it's awesome for my clients because they know that I'm only working on their projects. And it's awesome for me because I'm focused on just one project at a time instead of worrying about different deadlines at different times. And then it really opens up my homeschooling days to where I still do some work, but it's not, the pressure isn't there. And a lot of that outside of work, outside of my VIP days, is just either wrapping up the project, setting up for the next
Mhm.
project, or internal stuff like, what do I need to do any social media marketing, or do I need to do any outreach or things like that? So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays when I homeschool, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays are when I work full time.
Nice. I love it. I transitioned into VIP days in, let's see, January of 2021. So I've
Yeah.
been doing them for, a little over 2 years now. And the thing that I really love is as I got further in my business, because I'm in year 11, as I
Yeah.
got further in my business and I started doing more system setup than I did photography, I was struggling if I was multitasking with different clients. Like, I
Yeah.
like to be very focused. I like to get it done. And like you said, that's a big benefit for our clients
Mm-hmm.
because they know, okay, we're going to start this process. And at the end of the week, or at the end of the day, depending on how you're doing it,
Yeah.
I am going to have a system that I can start testing immediately, which is
Yeah.
where I like to go. And when it came to the homeschooling, it really did help because on a day when I was doing an actual VIP day, my child knew that she was going to do independent learning. And
Yeah.
that looked very different depending on, what it was that she was studying. But I just made sure that when I gave her her assignments for the day or for the week, I would let her know, okay, mommy has a VIP day on Monday this week. So these are the things
Yeah.
that you need to do while I'm on my call and while I'm working. And we would always take like a midday check in. Like I would make her lunch. I would
Mhm.
sit down. I would ask her about what she had done in the morning to make sure that she didn't have any questions. I think it also really helped that I had the reading specialist working with her 2 days a week,
Yeah.
because if I did that on days when I had my VIP day, I knew that at least for part of the day, she was getting like one-on-one
Yes.
attention from someone, even if it wasn't me.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of my husband kind of has this misconception about it too, to where it's like I'm the sole teacher for our girls. And it's like, no, bro, there's no there's no way I can do all of it. So I think when you homeschool, just really leaning into like you can have a community, like you need to have a
Mm-hmm.
community of people that can help you with this and different people that your children can lean on to learn from. And yeah, it doesn't have to be just you, the parent. Like there's so many different ways that you can have people teach your kids.
Yeah. So you mentioned quite a few resources and community things that you enrolled your children in. And I know here in Colorado, at least in the Boulder, Longmont area where I live,
Yeah.
I mean, we have very large online homeschool groups. We have, as I said, the co-ops through the district. So, I
That
mean, I
co-op
feel like there's a
sounds amazing, by the way.
it is. It is.
It
It is
sounds
amazing.
so
I'm really
cool.
sad she's not going next year. I mean, she really enjoyed musical theater.
Yeah.
She loves to act. She
Yeah.
loves to dance. And I'm feeling a little bad that she's not going to be able to do something like that this next year. So I may actually find an after school theater to
Yeah.
enroll her in so that she can still get some of that. But in your community, where is it that you learned about these different activities, like the museum day, the science
Yeah.
class? Because here, you kind of have to search, and if you're in the Facebook online groups that are for homeschooling, like a lot of people are constantly sharing resources. But I know some people that want to jump into homeschooling, they're like, oh, there's nothing like that in my area. And I would be like, no, I beg to differ. I bet you do.
Yeah. Facebook was a big thing. And as soon as I started talking about the idea of homeschooling, I was really surprised at the amount of business owner friends that I had that either previously homeschooled their kids or currently do. And so I had a lot
Nice.
of close friends that were resources to lean on to ask questions for that too. And I was like, I had no idea that you homeschooled your kids. And then I felt like, cool, I'm not such a weirdo. So this is nice. I'm not the only crazy one. So Facebook was huge. Community, as far as just like friends, like once you even start talking about it, I think people would be surprised at how many people come out and just be like, oh yeah, so and so did this, you should reach out to them and ask, or I did this for a year, you should try this. As far as the museum goes, that was just researching on the internet, like things to do with children and homeschooling in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and
Nice.
then things would just kind of pop up from there. So there's definitely legwork that you have to go into it, but there's resources everywhere for homeschooling for sure.
And I feel like, at least here, one of the things that's come up, and me having a 12-year-old, I can feel it more now than I think I would have if I'd started homeschooling my kid when she was your daughter's age.
Yeah.
But they say that it gets harder as they get older because there's not as much community and as much resources and as much like social interaction opportunities for the kids as they get older. Because I will notice that, like, when people are putting resources and classes and things like that in the group, I mean, if you compared elementary school opportunities to middle and high school, it was probably like 75% elementary and 25% for
Sure.
like kids that are over 10. So, have you thought about what this is going to look like for you in the long term? Do you intend to homeschool forever? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
Do
it's
you
good. Yeah.
intend to homeschool for like a few more years, or do you know a point where you think you might consider? I mean, and I don't want to say putting them in public school, but like
Yeah.
just something else besides homeschooling all on your own.
Yeah. So I don't know how long this is going to go. I really wanted to try it for the first year to see how it went. And so far, I mean, it was good. Like, and I don't want to again, I don't want it to be like it was all rainbows and butterflies. We had our great moments and it was still a struggle bus, but the struggle was mostly me just trying to again, just unlearn everything that I thought homeschooling had to be, because it can be whatever you want it to be. So I think this next year for sure, we're going to try a little bit of the combo with Elsie, with the public school and homeschooling with that. See how that goes for a little bit. Emma will do the CC. I mean, I get like hearing you homeschool your daughter that's 12 gets me excited. Because
I really, yeah.
Because it's like I'm at the point to where, well, not even at the point, but I get more excited with the concept of the independent learning. Because Elsie and Emma, they're just too young for that right now. So a lot of it is like, Mom, I need help with this. Mom, I need help with this. And as you know, I love that. But man, I'm also very excited for the independent learning phase a little bit more, to where it's like they can just, like, I can direct them and then they can just do it on their own. Because multitasking, like, I get overstimulated really easy with stuff too. So it's just trying to make sure I block time off to where I can be very available and focused for the girls. So that part has been tricky, but it's been good at the same time. So I don't know how long, we'll see.
So when it came to Chloe, I think one of the things that made it easier for me to kind of commit was the fact that she was already reading and writing.
Yes.
Like my
Yeah.
background is math and statistics. And so while I can teach her almost anything in math, I think if I had tried to do it when she was much younger, I would have been really worried, because like as we're seeing that she's having some reading comprehension issues now, I would just rather pay a professional. Like it
Sure.
is something that I 100% do not feel qualified to help her, try to overcome and work on. And I mean, even when we were interviewing at the new private middle school that we're sending her to for half a day, I asked a bunch of questions and they asked me something about her math. And I was like, oh no, you guys can do whatever you want in math. Like, I'm not worried about math. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do for reading and writing?
Yep.
Because I feel qualified to help her with math.
Yep.
But reading and writing, like I have never struggled to read. I've read, multiple books a day when I was little. And so just the idea of like not wanting to, and I know it's because she's struggling. Like
Yeah.
she struggles with reading. And so it's not something that she enjoys.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand that because I enjoyed reading so much. And of course, I grew up in a very different time. Like we didn't have televisions and iPads
Oh my God.
and
Right.
like the constant stream of like,
Yeah.
yeah. One of the things that I tried to do before I enlisted help from someone else was when she was still in the virtual program with Boulder Valley School District, they were having her read Percy Jackson. And so I was trying to work on her reading it and then watching the movie and then kind of doing like a compare and contrast and trying to think of the differences. And that just didn't go as well as I thought it would. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm definitely not qualified to help her in this endeavor, like at all.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of the other things that I've definitely signed up for to help too. Because I feel like for me as the homeschooling role, I feel my position is better as more of a guide than just the teacher. So I do rely on, the co-op that we go on and finding downloadables and different workbooks. And I think this first year is really just trying to figure out how the girls learn. So I've been throwing everything I can at them that fits our wallet and everything else to be like, what works for you to learn here? So we've done Hooked on Phonics, and Elsie and Emma both really like that. And I love the apps that they have on there. And then they send workbooks that you can opt in for. So just finding like different play-based, and they're at an age where a lot of it is play-based learning anyway. So yeah, it's been like trying to figure out, I think this year, the biggest focus has been trying to figure out how they learn and who they want to learn from.
Okay. So let's get back to the balance between homeschooling and business.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about what you may do differently this coming year, but is there anything that you've learned that would make running your business while homeschooling easier this year going into next year? Like, I know you're doing your VIP days, but are you going to make any business changes based on the fact that you will be progressing into a new year of homeschooling?
I think keeping the full-time for Tuesdays and Thursdays. And Tom, my husband, and I are very blessed to where both of our parents are close. So the girls go to my mom's on Tuesdays, and then on Thursdays they go to Tom's mom's. So they get that unique experience too, which is awesome. One of the things that I've noticed that I'm taking this summer to focus on too, so it's not as much pressure to, like, we still do a little homeschooling, but it's not school. is focusing on my systems and leaning on my VA a little bit more. So I'm trying to make sure I have like, how do I want some of these automated emails set out? How do I want to wrap up these VIP days? And I probably need to prep a little bit more so I don't have to spend as much time splitting my attention on the homeschool days and work. I can just have my VA do more of that
Yeah.
stuff for me. So I think it's letting go a little bit more and setting up the systems and workflows a little bit better too. So that way it's just a little bit more streamlined. So all I have to do is just show up on Tuesday and Thursday and know I have everything I need. And then when I'm done, I can just hand it off to Allie, my VA, and just be like, hey, I just need you to package this and send it off and we're good to go. So yeah.
Guys, I did not pay her to bring up systems and workflows, I swear. So, I mean, Carly, let's start with what do you use for your systems? What is your main CRM tool?
Dubsado, which I know you love
Oh,
that.
and she's a Dubsado user. So tell me about where you think, because you said that you wanted to improve your systems. So
Yeah.
in particular, you're talking about automated communication. Is there anything in particular that you feel like if you were going to suggest to one of our listeners that this is where they should start in order to improve their automated communication, what's
Yeah.
the most important email that you crafted for your clients?
I would say the easiest thing is the leads part of it, is having the form, knowing what they want help with, and then having that link to the scheduler. So I have it all set, like all three is just one embedded on my website. So I don't have to send the
Mhm.
scheduler. I don't have to send the form. I don't have to, like, it's just all one and done. And then the automated email that says, hey, really excited to work with you on this. If you have any other questions on these things, bring it to our meeting. And they're just really quick 15-minute calls. And then the thing that I need to work on, I think more so, is the getting out of having to have everything like customized for a package. So I have a
Mhm.
proposal page and I just need to streamline that a little bit more to where it's a lot more easier for Allie. Just like, hey, Allie, I need to send this person for a VIP day, or we're going to do a logo design. So I need to have this package in there. So I think just automating that portion of it a little bit more will be really helpful to me. So then I don't have to have as much brain space on getting that sent out.
Yeah. So, my tip for you on that, Carly, if you're not
Yeah.
already doing it, do you have a workflow set up for each of the types of services that you offer? So, do you
No.
have one workflow for your VIP days and one workflow for like logo design and one workflow for like website design? Like, do you have them separate?
Kind of, not really. That's one of the things that Allie and I have started to do, but I definitely, like, that's on my list of things. Like, I really need to sit down and, like, what are the steps for all of these things that I need? So,
Because if you set it up
yeah,
separately, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for your VA to just start the appropriate workflow and make any tiny changes that need to
sure.
be done and then send it off versus you starting with like one process. And it's like, okay, Allie, this person is booking a logo design.
Yeah,
Can you add in the package for the logo design? Can you add this in? If
that's
you do
actually, I'm going to write
one, so
that
since
down.
I
That
know,
is so easy.
oh, it's okay, you're going to get a recording of this. If you're working on VIP days, for example, I always encourage everyone to start with the thing that you want to book the most. And so for
Yeah,
you, if that's your VIP days, you should start by, writing all of your steps, every communication that you need to send someone for a VIP day, every form, every email, have it all laid
yeah,
out. You create them, you make the workflow, and
perfect.
once you know that that works, you can duplicate it and customize it. Because once you get the first one done, like everyone's always amazed because, on my VIP day, I'm only working on your main offer. And
Yeah,
then what I tell you is once I deliver your main offer and you've tested it and you know that it's good, that's when I duplicate it for, your other offers. And everyone's like, oh, but that's so quick for the second. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, it takes me 8 hours to build your main offer. It takes me 90 minutes to
yeah,
make your next offer
yeah,
because all I'm doing is swapping emails,
yeah,
changing a few words, swapping the package, and just making it go. And by starting that workflow manually, I like to say that anytime your client has to make a decision, that is where you should start a new workflow. Because if
sure.
you need to talk to them before you know what offer they want, then after you've done it, you can start the correct offer because that makes the customization a much smaller feat. You're not
Yeah.
customizing the entire workflow. You're just picking which offer it is and making tiny customizations after you've done that.
I love that. Thank you.
You guys heard her voice. Yeah. I mean, we could call these podcast episodes like systems. Yeah.
I love it.
I
Yes.
love helping people make their businesses more effective. And I feel like those of us that homeschool our kids really need it because, we
Yep.
don't have, all day, every day, like other working moms do when
Mm-hmm.
their kids are in school. I
Yep.
know it was really funny. I was looking forward to summer. I don't know what your kids are doing during the summer, but my
Yeah.
daughter is in sports camp all day every day this week.
And you're
And
like,
so I'm like, wow.
decompress. This is so nice.
I'm like, when's the last time I had 8 hours in my house where it was completely quiet and no one
Yeah.
was, asking me how to do an equation or
Yeah.
asking when I'm going to make lunch or, whatever it is. So it's really fantastic.
Yeah. I love that.
So, Carly, you talked about you need to improve your systems, make sure that they are optimized. You
Yeah.
talked about your virtual assistant. So,
Yeah.
what kinds of things do you rely on your virtual assistant to do besides helping you get proposals and things like that out inside of Dubsado?
Dude, so when I first hired her on, it was mostly going to be for email management and task management. And this was primarily with CK Design. And then when I made the pivot to Hey Carl, it's like I just throw anything and everything I can at her and just see what sticks and be like, hey, are you comfortable trying this? And I love, like, she's very self-sufficient. So it's like I don't have to, like, Google is free. So if I have a question, if she's able to kind of look it out and figure it out, awesome. So I love working with her. I did a brand builder magazine last year, and she really helped following up with emails as far as getting articles in and just sending them out. I ordered them all, and then I just sent them to her address so she could write out the letters and mail them, because I don't have the energy or time or want to do that. So she does
Amazing.
all sorts of different little things. I'll ask her to help with Canva stuff, and yeah, she's great.
So, beyond your virtual assistant, what else are you outsourcing in your business?
A lot of subcontracting. So like if somebody, when I do a website design, if they need copywriting, I'll outsource that. That's probably it. If there's like random business naming things, or there's been an occasion with like developing a website, if I find I don't have time for that, I might outsource a piece of that to kind of like, hey, I have this website VIP day coming up. This portion of the website I'm not as familiar with. I need to subcontract that for another designer, but ultimately, like, it's still me overseeing everything. So yeah, just, I don't know, random things. But I would say I also outsource, like when I need a sales page or something, I'll hire somebody else to do that for me because I don't want to mess with it. So it's
Yeah.
really just trying to figure out, like, where do I actually want to invest my energy in my business? Is it worth me investing the energy in that? Is it better to just spend, $500 to $3,000, whatever that looks like, to have somebody else do it for me? Because you're spending money or time either way. So how do
Yes.
you want to exert
But
it? Yeah.
for those of us that are homeschooling, like our
Yes.
time, even though we're
Yeah.
not making money when we're homeschooling our kids, we do
Yes.
have to still make sure that we have that
Yes.
availability. We have to make
Yep.
sure that they don't suffer because we are unwilling to
Yes.
outsource things in our business in order to make the time and space for them.
Yep.
So, Carly, in closing, is there anything that you would suggest or that you would say was a lesson learned? If there are any entrepreneurs listening to this who are considering, running their business and also trying to homeschool in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I look at homeschooling, it feels honestly a lot like starting a business, but instead of having clients, your kids are the clients.
Yeah.
So it's very entrepreneurial. It's very scrappy. So I would say if you're hesitant about homeschooling, or if you're unsure on what it's like if you're a business owner, I feel like 99%, like, you can do it. You can figure it out as you go. If you can run a business, you can absolutely homeschool if it's something that you feel called to do. It's a lot of just trying to find the resources, subcontracting, finding other teachers.
Outsourcing.
Yeah. So it's totally doable. It's just figuring out, what works for you, where you need to have your attention in your business. And if you need to structure, whether it's VIP days or just making it like, these are the only days that I work, and then everything else falls outside of that. So
Carly,
that helps.
this was it helps so much.
Good.
Carly, this was an amazing conversation. If people want to find out more about you and your business, where can they find you on the internet?
So my website is hey-carl, CARL.com. I almost added a Y because I was like, hey, Carly, but heycarl.com. And my Instagram is _hey.carl_. Those are my two primary hangouts, but yeah.
Carly, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I have been wanting to chat with someone about like business and motherhood and homeschooling for so long. Yeah. And when I listened to you on Maddie's podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect person to come chat with me.
I love it. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So everyone, that's it for this episode. See you next time.